As the intrepid adventurers ascend the icy slopes of the formidable mountain range, the biting chill of the snow-laden winds cut through their cloaks. Amidst the swirling blizzard, they stumbled upon a towering hulking figure with shaggy white fur blending seamlessly with the wintry landscape. Towering on massive muscular legs, the creature's keen eyes glinted with a mix of curiosity and aggression. The party's breath hung frozen in the air as the creature let out a bone-chilling roar, its frost-laden breath billowing in clouds around its gaping maw. Despite its fearsome appearance, the creature seemed more territorial than overtly hostile, standing as a silent sentinel in the heart of the snowy domain. The adventurers knew they stood before a formidable foe, one that could easily become aggressive if provoked, urging caution in their delicate encounter with the reclusive Yeti amidst the unforgivable wilderness. Yes, today we are talking about the Yeti. Hello and welcome to Dungeon Deep Dive, where we talk about all things D&D monsters, from monsters and their lore to their publication history, where they originated, and how you can use them in your D&D games. In today's video, we are going over the chilly little fluff balls that love the wintry season, the Yeti. Yetis first stomped their way into the snowy mountains of D&D campaigns in the first edition monster manual. They are described as 8-foot tall humanoids that are covered in bleach white hair and razor sharp claws and teeth. They weigh around 300 pounds and have a pale blue, almost colorless eyes. They are classed as a very rare sighting in D&D games and are rarely encountered by other humanoids. If someone is unlucky enough to encounter these huge monsters, they rarely live to tell the tale, as Yetis do tend to love the taste of humanoid flesh. It says that a Yeti in its natural habitat of the snowy mountainscapes, they are dangerously good at blending into their surroundings. For each level of the player, it would have a 5% chance of the player to spot the Yeti. And to give an example, for a second level character, they would only have a 5% chance to spot the creature. Because of their fondness for cold environments in first edition, they are vulnerable to fire damage. The lair of a first edition Yeti would have a 30% chance of there being a 1 to 3 females, or a 15% chance of there being 2 to 5 young Yeti children. So don't expect Yetis to be alone in their lairs. They appear again in the second edition monster manual, where they appear more ape-like and extremely muscular in appearance. They easily get confused with their similar looking cousins, the abominable snowman, and are also said to be related to carnivorous apes that live in the warmer environment. Same as in first edition, they are described as 8-foot tall humanoids with their hands and feet wide and flat to help with their camouflaging into their snowy homes. Even though the image in the book shows Yetis walking on 2 legs, they actually travel on all 4s like an ape. But when they fight, they rear up on their 2 hind legs. If you're ever on the hunt for a Yeti in second edition, try to look for the smell of a strong musky odor. Although this will be a lot harder to detect in the colder environments, but easy to spot in warmer climates. In second edition, it's described that eyes of the Yeti have a second set of eyelids like crocodiles or alligators, which lets them see even in the strongest of snowstorms. They're described as simple creatures with an intelligence average to that of a human, but they don't have any civilizations. They have the ability to use simple tools to help them survive, and even man-made tools that they find in the wilds, but they will not make the weapons themselves. Now, the home of a Yeti will tend to be a cave made of solid ice in the hills or the mountainside of a snowy landscape. Sometimes these caves are ones that they are found naturally, but sometimes they must resort to carving these caves out by themselves and make them big enough to accommodate both themselves and their family. The hoard of treasure that a Yeti would keep in their lair would mainly consist of random items and weapons that they've found from explorers that have perished in the snowy tundras. This could be rare magical items or just random assortment of trinkets and baubles. With the environment they live in being such a harsh one, friends and communities are rare and hard to find, so this makes survival for them and their families and reproduction the Yeti's main goal. Now, it is rare to find a group of Yetis forming a community because they mostly only associate with their immediate family. A family of Yetis usually consists of 1 male and up to 3 females in a family, and have a 50% chance of 1 to 6 baby Yetis if the female is present at the home. The young will usually stay at home until they reach maturity, where they will set off into the wilds on their own to fend for themselves. Now, any other animal or creature that is not considered family to the Yeti is considered food for the family, and that's including other Yetis. This doesn't mean that they will attack any Yeti on sight. They have a high enough intelligence to recognize a stronger party than their own and will leave them be. Only a starving Yeti family would take the risk in fighting a stronger enemy in a chance of winning and making them their food. In second edition, it says that their diet of the Yeti usually consists of herd animals that live out in snowy mountains like wolves and bears. And when it comes to the hunting grounds of the Yeti, it is quite vast. It can go to as far as 15 miles in all directions from their home looking for food. Yeti fur is an extremely prized item to those who choose to make a living in the snowy mountains and hills. The fur of the Yeti is extremely durable to the cold and will keep anyone warm in the harshest of snowy environments. Now in 3rd edition, the only book I could find that had the Yeti in them was the D&D 3rd edition book Frostburn. In this book, Yetis are described as large white-furred humanoids who haunt Arctic mountains in search of prey. You have the ability to blend seamlessly into the snowy landscapes, and that combined with the eerie howl that can be heard from miles echoing through the mountains give them a reputation as sinister and supernatural creatures. The rest of the description is the same as previous editions in that they have a more whiter fur than body fat to keep warm, their claws and flesh are ivory white, and they have an extra eyelid to help see in strong snowy storms. When it comes to combating a Yeti, the book says that the Yetis like to stalk their prey and lay ambushes to catch and surprise their victims. And once the battle has started, they will attack ferociously with their razor sharp claws. An interesting ability that the Yeti has in 3rd edition is if you are grappled by the creature, you first take 1d6 plus 4 points of damage from the grapple, but then you take an additional 2d6 cold damage from the heat absorbing effect that the Yeti has. Now in 3rd edition, we do get another variant to the standard Yeti in the book. We get the Abominable Yeti. This variant is a lot larger than the standard Yeti and a lot more brutal and ferocious. You have a lot more hit points too, sitting at 105, whereas the normal Yeti only has 29. And they deal a lot more damage with their attacks than your run-of-the-mill Yeti. This is the only book I could find on the internet that has Yetis in 3rd edition, so if you guys have seen more info on them for that edition, please do let me know in the comments below. Now moving on to 4th edition, no Yetis were found until the 4th edition Monster Manual 3 came out. It says that the mournful cries of a Yeti carry a chill across the rugged land and invoke fear in the hearts of the mountain folk. A Yeti stalks the mountain passes with others of its kind. Some say its eerie howls are meant to send prey fleeing, giving the creatures a scent to follow. It says the wise people of the mountains say otherwise. They say the howls are a reminder to civilized folk that in the mountains, the Yetis reign supreme. It says that the sense of smell of a Yeti is uncanny and can pick up scents of creatures from miles away. People who hunt in these lands have used this trait that the Yetis have and turned it against them by figuring out that the Yetis find the smell of rotting flesh vile and disgusting, and can repel Yetis from any area if it is festered with rotten meat. Unlike in 4th edition, it says that Yetis live among their own kind in communities and settlements, although some Yetis have been known to be captured and manipulated by other humanoids for sport or to use as punishment and used to attack anyone who is being disloyal. We get 3 variants to the standard Yeti in 4th edition. We get the Yeti Hunter, the Howler, and the Rampager. The Hunter is, how the name states, the hunter of the 3. These guys can smell prey up to 15 miles away and can tell if prey is struggling up icy inclines. The hunter has the ability to carefully pick the path towards its quarry and set up a perfect ambush, howling as they draw closer. The howl of the hunter echoes through the entire mountainside, making it impossible to pinpoint where the hunting Yeti will be attacking from. Now the Howler Yeti are said to be the embodiment of angry ghosts of people who lost their lives in avalanches and blizzards. Right before a blizzard or an avalanche hits the mountains, the Howler lets out a ghastly shriek that fills the entire mountainside right before they sweep down the mountainside to hunt the lower lands of the mountains. The piercing shriek that they emit can hit 3 enemies and deal 1d10 plus 5, and if the target ends its next turn within 5 squares of the Yeti, they also take 5 thunder damage. And finally, the Yeti Rampager. These creatures are the skirmishers and soldiers of Yeti kind. They are always on the hunt for prey and combat. The Rampager is the strongest and most ferocious out of the group. Even when food is low, not even the strongest walls or defenses can stop a Rampager from getting its kill. Now moving on to 5th edition, Yetis made their appearance in the 5th edition Monster Manual. Its description says that Yetis like to hunt in solitude and small family groups, unlike what it said in 4th edition. There would be a chance for other Yetis to join in on the hunt that another Yeti is already on, if they smell the blood or sense their prey running. If this happens, then the Yetis will fight each other over the spoils for the kill, and if another Yeti falls in the fight, they too will become food for the survivors. In 5th edition, it says that Yetis tend to stay away from humanoid settlements and only hunt the herds of animals like wolves and bears in the wilds, but will resort to raiding a humanoid settlement if food is scarce and starvation begins to set in. Now, the Abominable Yeti is a lot larger than the standard Yeti and tends to hunt alone and in solitude. These kinds are a lot more savage and territorial and will attack anyone or anything warm-blooded that will come into contact with them. Okay, so we've gone over the Yetis through the years of D&D, and now let's go over their stats in 5th edition and how you could use them in your D&D campaign. Starting with the standard Yeti, they are classed as a large monstrosity and have an AC of 12 and 51 hit points. They have a walking speed of 40 feet and a climbing speed of 40 feet as well. Are not obviously immune to any and all cold damage, but can only speak Yeti, whereas in previous editions they could speak Giant. They have an ability called Fear of Fire, where if the Yeti takes fire damage, it has disadvantage on attack rolls and ability checks until the end of its next turn, which you don't see a lot of in D&D. They have the Keen Smell ability that gives them advantage on perception checks that rely on smell, and the Snow Camouflage ability that gives them advantage on stealth checks in snowy terrain. Now for their actions, they have a multi-attack where it can use its Chilling Gaze ability and make 2 claw attacks in one swoop. For the claws, they have a +6 to hit and a reach of 5 feet and deal 1d6 plus 4 slashing damage plus 1d6 cold damage. Now for the Chilling Gaze, the Yeti targets one creature it can see within 30 feet of it, and if the target can see the Yeti, the target must succeed on a DC 13 Constitution saving throw or take 3d6 cold damage and then be paralyzed for 1 whole minute. The target can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turns, ending the effect on a success. If the target's saving throw is successful, or if the effect ends on it, the target is then immune to the Chilling Gaze of all Yetis, but not the Abominable's Yeti, for 1 hour. Now moving on to the Abominable Yeti, they are classed as a huge monstrosity, so 1 level up from the normal Yeti, and have an armor class of 15 and 137 hit points. They have the same walking and climbing speed as other Yetis, but gain a little extra in their perception and stealth skills, and have a challenge rating of 9, which is the same level as the Bone Devils, which we covered recently, and Fire Giants. They have all the same abilities as the standard Yeti and get the same multi-attack with claws and their gaze, but they also get given a cold breath attack. The claws have a +11 to hit and a reach of 5 feet and deal 2d6 plus 7 slashing damage and 2d6 cold damage, so 1 up from the normal Yeti. For the Chilling Gaze, the target needs to make a DC 18 con save instead of 13 and take 6d6 cold damage on a fail save and then again become paralyzed for 1 minute. Now for the cold breath, the Yeti exhales a 30-foot cone of frigid air. Each creature in the area must make a DC 18 Constitution saving throw or take 10d8 cold damage on a fail save and half on a success. These guys are a great addition to have in any campaign where the party are heading into a snowy tundra or mountainside. The party could be in the middle of a snowstorm where suddenly a huge white clawed hand shoots out of the ground and grapples one of your party members. Then suddenly snow erupts around you and you realize that you have walked right into a Yeti trap. Or you could maybe encounter a small ice cave or encampment of Yetis that will trade or converse in conversation and agree to guide you and your party through a deadly snow terrain in exchange for food for their families. But that is all I have for you guys on the Yetis. Thank you all for watching. I hope you found this video helpful, and if there's anything that I've missed, I would love to hear about it in the comments below. What monster do you think I should cover next? Let me know in the comments below and I'll add your comment at the end of that video. You can find links to all my socials below to keep up to date with the videos. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.